it's Alder. You join me in very, very bright and sunny Scotland. My camera died as soon as I started recording, so for a couple of minutes you're going to unfortunately have worse quality, but that's okay. We're here in Edinburgh, very sunny Edinburgh, to kind of review the Edinburgh Trams and see what they're all about. From Edinburgh Airport to Newhaven and all stops in between. What role do they play in Edinburgh's public transport system? Let's get a ticket and find out. Right, we're on board, so it's only right we do a seat tour. There's not much to say. The padding is absolutely amazing, especially for a tram, and I have loads of legroom, simply because I'm at the front of a tram. There's free tram Wi-Fi, and there's screens to show you what your next stop is, but they hardly worked. There's audio announcements to tell you where you are, ceiling mounted smaller displays, and there are 6 luggage racks on board, which is especially good because the tram goes to the airport. We're doing the complete opposite of that.
This tram is for Newhaven.
Construction of the tram network began in June 2008 and opened on the 13th of March 2014 between here at the airport and York Place. York Place closed in 2022. In preparation for the upcoming Newhaven extension. Trams run to West End at first and then St Andrew's Square, yet continue to run all the way to York Place to turn back. Revenue service began on the 7th of June 2023, and I actually filmed this review under a month after it opened. There have been many extension proposals, as you can see on this map. Operational service running on the dark red section of the map. The most likely extension to happen was put to public consultation on the 2nd of February 2024 and would operate from Haymarket to Granton via Craigleith and Crewe Toll. This would then mean that there are 2 lines on the tram network instead of the 1. This is the pink section of the map. A likely extension I imagine to happen would be the one-stop extension you can see at Lower Granton, which would then create a loop line around the city centre in Newhaven. Towards the left of the map you see a potential extension to Newbridge, which has been set to be ditched, so I imagine it won't happen. There are 27 trams in service, part of the CAF Erbos 3 family. Between here at the airport and Ingliston Park and Ride is the most expensive part of the route. I won't go through all the pricing, but an adult single costs £5.50 extra just for the journey. That's a 2-minute stretch, which we have just about reached the end of, as our first stop is now approaching Ingliston Park and Ride. The car park is situated just off the A8 Airport junction and is a very convenient way for people to park their cars and take the bus or tram to the airport and city centre.
Purchased or validated before you board the tram.
Hey there, can I just have a little look at your tickets or passes, please?
And we're now on our way. Some of my favourite scenery on the tram route is definitely towards the airport. It's just quite pretty. The network runs on a mix of road rails and conventional track, with conventional track being nearer to the airport and towards Murrayfield Stadium, and road from Haymarket to Newhaven. With part of the network being on its own track, it allows for faster journey times to the airport and city, which is a great benefit in terms of competition with the local airport buses, such as the Airlink 100, Skylink 200 and 400, and the Airport Express bus services. It also allows for better integration to rail stations, such as Edinburgh Gateway here. Edinburgh Gateway opened in December 2016, to coincide with the railway station opening at the same time. This gave direct tram links to the Fife Circle line and the Edinburgh to Aberdeen line. I would quickly like to apologise for any stations missed. I was in a bit of a kerfuffle while filming, as my main camera kept on dying and I kept on charging it during my journey. Overall, this video has 3 different cameras in it. Hopefully, I shouldn't miss anything too important. On an unrelated note, we're now approaching Bankhead. I've looked online and there's not really much to say about this area, apart from that it's a non-residential area of Edinburgh, so do with that what you will. Now on the move with what looks to be like a lot more of a residential area. We're now approaching Sawton, which is where His Majesty's Pleasure/Prison, Edinburgh, is located. Continuing on the line, our next station is now Bullgreen. The traditional Gaelic name for this place translates roughly to sunny farm or gravel farm, or alternatively farm of the sunny enclosure. It does not come from the term Bullgreen though. I have literally nothing else to say. We're now slowly creeping up towards the city centre, and now parallel with some of the many main train routes into Edinburgh Waverley, from Helensburgh in Glasgow, Stirling, Inverness, Aberdeen, and the Fife. Incredibly frustratingly, as this is one of the key highlights of the route, and I genuinely don't have any footage of it, we are about to pass the Murrayfield Stadium, which is a 67,000 seat venue, which is home to Scotland's international rugby club. It is also used as a concert venue. Next to Murrayfield is also Haymarket's train maintenance depot, which maintains ScotRail trains.
Haymarket. Change here for Onboard rail connections.
And we're now on the street, and we are approaching Haymarket, which is both a small area west of the city centre, but also Edinburgh's second largest train station, after Waverley, which we go past a bit later. Pretty much any train which goes past Haymarket, regardless of its distance or length, will stop here. It's the 5th busiest station in Scotland, and not only does it serve the local Haymarket area, but also the West End, which unlike London is less theatre based and more hospitality based. And one stop later, we're leaving West End. Unfortunately, this area of the tram network is quite prone to accidents, such as on the 29th of August 2014, where a bus and a tram collided here. I'd rather not mention too much more about the history of accidents down here, and my thoughts go out to people affected by any. Let's move swiftly on. Our next stop is Princes Street. This road is one of the most major thoroughfares in Edinburgh. The road itself is actually about 3/4 of a mile long. It is home to Princes Street Gardens, which I think are absolutely stunning, and I often enjoy walking down. The street itself runs on a medieval country lane known as the Langdyke, and originally, under development, this street would have been known as St Giles Street. The area is known as one of the very first new towns. Right after leaving Princes Street and the beautiful Princes Street Gardens, you can see the magnificent Royal Scottish Academy, which is this building right here. It is a Georgian gallery built in 1826, and it houses modern art and architecture exhibitions. We then pass the East Princes Street Gardens. I believe there are 2 Princes Street Gardens, with the other one being on the other side of the Royal Scottish Academy, but I may be wrong, so please do correct me. And through all of this wonderful sunshine on the window, we can see Scott Monument, which is a Victorian monument in honour of the writer Sir Walter Scott. There are also 287 steps to the top, with tickets going for about £8 or £9. Wow, you really have to pay for cardio nowadays. Fortunately, the rest of this video should be slightly higher quality, so enjoy. To the right of us, out of shot, is Edinburgh Waverley Station. Edinburgh Waverley is the 2nd largest station in Scotland, after Glasgow Central, and Waverley is the principal station of Edinburgh. You can basically get to almost any part of the UK from here, except for Wales and further southeast than London, but even then, in the future, or if you're watching this a while after it's released, there will be a direct link from Edinburgh to Cardiff Central on cross country. However, we're not here to talk about trains, so let's continue. I must say, I really like the historic architecture of buildings in Edinburgh. Strangely, whenever I look at some of them, they always remind me of the 99th Precinct from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Don't ask me why. And here is St Andrew's Square, which is the last stop on the original tram network, seeing as York Place was replaced with Piccadilly Place in 2023. This is also the station for Edinburgh Waverley, although the station entrance is still a quarter of a mile away from the stop. St Andrew's Square itself began construction in 1772 as part of the first New Town movement. It was designed by James Craig, and within the first 6 years of it opening, it was one of the most desirable and fashionable areas of the city. It used to be made up of many financial centres and banks and offices, including of insurance companies, and it used to be one of the richest areas of Scotland in terms of size. The square was made public in 2008, and it is managed by Essential Edinburgh. We are now turning onto York Place, which of course is where the original tram terminus of the same name was until 2022. The road is almost exclusively 18th century buildings. Many key figures of Scottish history lived on this road, including physicists, civil engineers, architects, and a surgeon. I definitely did not get that information from Wikipedia, so let's move on. We are now just about to pass the site of York Place tram stop. I think the tram stop was meant to be temporary, but I might be wrong, with it being in operation for 8 years. And we are now on the move, further than I've ever got before, my first time onto the Newhaven extension, really recently after it was introduced. Our first stop is Piccadilly Place, which is 136 yards away from York Place. Why they didn't just keep York Place, I'm not sure. This was filmed over a year ago, but there is clearly some kind of construction on. I'm not sure what it's like now, it might still be there. I have no clue what it is. Finally, Piccadilly Place is known for the location of the Sherlock Holmes statue. Right, here's an interesting question. How is the Edinburgh Trams relevant to Edinburgh's transport system? I promise you this is not some kind of A-level question. I can't find much on the topic, so I'm going to answer this using some kind of common sense and my own thoughts. During the whole of 2023, including after when this was filmed, there was 9.3 million journeys on Edinburgh's tram network, and that was just for 1 year. Since 2014, there have been many journeys between the airport and York Place and Newhaven. While the network is integrated with Lothian buses, I do believe that the tram has some kind of advantage over the incredibly varied bus network. The fact that A, it serves the airport, which of course brings many people into Edinburgh, and the fact that it has its own tracks up to Haymarket definitely gives an advantage on timings. I also find that they're slightly more comfortable, especially with their fake leather seats, which I absolutely love. And the route has been so carefully crafted that it serves so many key historic points of interest and stops. It's also a much cheaper sightseeing option compared to tour buses, and definitely decreases the strain of local train services between Edinburgh Waverley, Haymarket, Edinburgh Park and Edinburgh Gateway. There's also historic relevance to Edinburgh's transport systems as a link to Edinburgh's old tram network, but I'm going to mention that a bit more later on into the video. Overall, I would say that Edinburgh's tram network is incredibly relevant to the transport system and is a vital key part of moving people around the city. Anyway, we're now at our next stop, MacDonald Road. And no, you cannot get a fries and a Big Mac here, at least I don't think. However, it is known for some of the best markets and pubs in Edinburgh. Anyways, I'm on my way. Sorry, poor the Proclaimer's pun. We are on Leith Walk, which is one of the longest roads in Edinburgh. It connects the east end of the city centre by Waverley to the area of Leith, more specifically the new Kirkgate shopping centre, and it serves MacDonald Road to the Foot of the Walk tram stops. Overall, the road is 1.2 miles, although at times it definitely feels like 500 miles. Anyways, I think it's very fair to say that there's not any sunshine on Leith today. A bit later, and we're now approaching Balfour Street, which I would say is simply a residential street with nothing much. If you live here, I'm very sorry. If you know any history, please do tell me. Despite us being on the new section of the line, I thought that I would mention some of the difficulties, failures and general attempts of building the original 2014 network. It was proposed by Edinburgh Council in 1999, intended to be completed within the next decade. Construction eventually began almost a decade later in June 2008. A year later, in 2009, a 15-year contract by Transdev to maintain the network was cancelled, and cancellation of the whole project was seriously considered in 2010. In 2011, this was put at ease, but it was announced that the tram network would not be reaching Newhaven. The original plan was to do the full route. The trams would not reach Newhaven until June 2023. After all, we are filming on the line. Before August 2011, the project was seen by Transport Initiatives Edinburgh, which was owned by Edinburgh Council. However, it was disabandoned largely due to its failings on the delivery of the tram network. This led to a very long formal inquiry, chaired by Lord Hardy, which concluded that the failings by Edinburgh Council and related companies were mostly to blame for the delays in construction. Anyway, here's our next stop, which is Foot of the Walk. We are now at the end of Leith Walk, and I think we've officially entered Leith.
This tram is for Newhaven.
Leith is situated on the southern coast of the Firth of Forth and has been one of the 17 multi-member wards of Edinburgh since 2007. There is a whole load of history to mention, but I only have about a minute to mention it, so this is going to be incredibly brief. The area was burnt down by the Earl of Hertford, ordered by Henry VIII in 1543 for retaliation of the Treaty of Greenwich. Over 50% of the population died in 1645 with a plague outbreak, and in 1650 it was considered as a potential battleground. In 1809 the Tally Tor, a Martello tower, was constructed to defend the entrance of the harbour during the Napoleonic Wars. I definitely pronounced that wrong, didn't I? Leith and Edinburgh used to have separate tramways within the 1900s, and it was required to change at Leith between the two operations because they ran on different systems. Leith's trams were electrically powered, while Edinburgh's trams were cable-hauled. Recently, there's been lots of gentrification around the area. Leith has been known for many traditional industries, including glass, soap, wine, lead, fishing, and a lot more. Anyways, we are now approaching the shore, which is actually 0.6 miles away from the shore itself. I mentioned a little earlier about the separate tram networks between Edinburgh and Leith. So here's a quick history about Edinburgh's old tram network, way before the 2014 one. The network ran between 1871 and 1956, and as you can see from this diagram here, had a very extensive route. Originally, they were horse-drawn before cable-hauled trams were introduced in 1888. Electric trams ran on nearby Musselburgh and Leith networks in 1904 and 1905 respectively. Cable trams last run in Edinburgh in 1923, replaced with electric trams, therefore meaning through running with other nearby tram networks, such as to Leith, where we are in now. Many of the trams from the horse, cable and electric eras were built at Shrub Hill Works. Several of the old trams, such as electric and horse trams, are in preservation. Unlike the modern day Edinburgh Trams network, I can't really explain all of the routes, especially in a short period of time, but hopefully this map should give you an idea of where they went to, especially if you are familiar with Edinburgh's geography. If not, just know that they are extensive. And here is our next stop, Port of Leith. Edinburgh participated in Tram 2024, which is a yearly competition where European tram drivers challenge each other with different games and stuff, a bit like the Olympics but trams, to see who's the best. In 2024 they came out at 22nd out of 26 with 1,800 points, while Birmingham was 14th with 2,150. The winner of 2024 was Budapest in Hungary with 3,850. And here is Fourth Port Leith, which is described as Scotland's capital port, and it can handle vessels up to 50,000 deadweight tonnes. It handles both cargo and cruise ships, and it is home to the Royal Yacht Britannia. Some of the many cargo ships that dock here support food production, oil and gas and agriculture, and some of the things which are transported here include grain, animal feed, steel pipes and recycled products. Our next stop is Ocean Terminal, which serves the shopping centre of the same name. Ocean Terminal is the largest shopping centre in Leith, and I think it's the second dedicated shopping centre on the Edinburgh Tram network after Gyle Centre. It is built on former industrial docklands on the north side of the city, and is key to the regeneration of Leith and Newhaven. And like in the name, Ocean Terminal, it was planned to be a working passenger terminal, but that never happened. And we are almost at the end of the route, and thus the end of the video. So here's some quick information about our final stop, the terminus, Newhaven. Not to be confused with the town in Sussex by Brighton, Newhaven is a harbour district on the Firth of Forth, known for a port for landing oysters, and it was redeveloped by Edinburgh town planners in the 1950s and 60s. Anyways, we have basically reached the end at Newhaven, so I thought I might as well share my thoughts on the tram network and its importance, as well as my general experience on the journey. I mentioned before how vital the tram network is, with integration to the bus network, rail network, and also flights into Edinburgh Airport. I just think that the line could not have been more perfectly chosen for its route. I do believe that the frequency could slightly be improved, but it is not as horrendous as Blackpool, and I think that pricing is not amazing, especially because of the airport. But I mean, it is an airport fare, but still I do think that there should be more accessible price options to get to the airport, because, well, not everyone has that much money, let's be real. But other than pricing and frequency, I don't see too many issues with the network, and I look forward to future extensions which will further serve the local areas. The trams themselves have very good quality. The seats are really comfortable, with large windows, so it's good to sightsee. Luggage racks are definitely an amazing feature which I think is vital to airport customers. They're spacious, and so when it's full to a brim, you can still get more people to their destinations, and generally staff on board are very polite and willing to help.
We're now approaching our terminus. Thanks for travelling with Edinburgh Trams.
The trams have a rich history, some of it really wonderful and some of it really not, but they are such a gem to the city, and I've really enjoyed taking a look at this network. Anyways, we are now at Newhaven, where of course we can't go any further just yet. So for now, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thank you for watching, especially if you've got all the way here. I'm socially obliged by YouTube standards to say like, share and subscribe, but if you don't want to, that's okay. You have free will. Thanks for watching.